Alright, you lot, gather round because today we're diving headfirst into a topic that's got gaming world buzzing louder than a broken mic in a ranked match. Yeah, it's true. Mark Rubin, man who gave us masterpiece that is XDefiant, dropped kinda news that makes your stomach churn harder than playing with a random squad of AFK twonks. Yep, game's getting axed. But there's a whole lot more to unpack here, and trust me, you'll want to stick around for this one. But before we get started, don't forget to like, subscribe and all that bollocks. Yeah, I know, you've heard it a million times, but it actually helps channel grow, so quit being stingy and smash those buttons. Now let's get stuck in. Right, let's get straight into it. First up, let's talk about man himself, Mark Rubin. A bloke who, quite frankly, has bigger stones than most at gaming industry combined. Let's not forget, this is a guy who said, you know what, sod your skill-based matchmaking, sod your engagement-optimised matchmaking, we're making a game for players, not spreadsheets. And he bloody did it. XDefiant were anti-COD, anti-EOMM, anti-let's coddle noobs so they don't quit. It were a raw, unapologetic shooter that rewarded skill and punished laziness. Now, were it perfect? No, of course not. But name me a multiplayer FPS game that was flawless at launch. Go on, I'll wait. What Mark and his team accomplished wasn't just building a game, it were creating a statement. A big, loud up yours to Activision and anyone else who thought we'd all just roll over and accept the matchmaking manipulation we had to face. XDefiant proved there's still a place for old school shooters in a world drowning in battle passes and algorithmic nonsense. And let's give credit where it's due. Rubin and his team didn't just talk, they walked bloody walk. Open betas, transparent communication, and willingness to listen to community. When was last time you saw that from a studio? I'll tell you when. Never. These devs weren't hiding behind corporate walls. They were in trenches with us. Hell, I had devs from Team reach out directly to chat about topics I covered in this very channel. That's not just engagement, that's respect. Plain and simple. But it's kicker. Despite their efforts, Ubisoft pulled plug. Why? Because free-to-play is the bloody marathon. And sometimes, even best runners hit wall. It's not a failure, it's a reality check. Gaming industry's brutal, mate. It don't care about passion or vision, it cares about profits. And while XDefiant were on its way to finding its footing, Ubisoft clearly decided they didn't want to wait around. Cowards? Maybe. Pragmatic? Definitely. Still, gotta applaud Rubin for his candour in his farewell post. He didn't sugarcoat it, didn't deflect blame. He stood there, took it on chin, and thanked devs and players. That's class, folks. Absolute class. And while trolls and twonks are out there gloating, let me remind you, they didn't win shit. XDefiant were never about pandering to those muppets. It were about giving restorers a place to escape manipulative grind or Activision's matchmaking machine. So hats off to Mark Rubin and team. They dared to be different in an industry that punishes originality. And as for trolls, well, don't worry, we'll get to those twonks later. First though, let's talk about Fallout. What does Shutdown or XDefiant mean for future FPS games? Well, for starters, it's bloody reality check for both developers and players. Industry isn't just a playground for innovation, it's a cutthroat business. But it's kicker. Lessons XDefiant leaves behind are too important to ignore. For starters, let's talk matchmaking. XDefiant proved you don't need to shove SBMM or EOMM down our throats for a game to succeed. Game respected players' skill instead of manipulating them. You played, you got better, or didn't. And that were that. No fake balancing to keep little Timmy from rage quitting after getting clapped in a match. XDefiant reminded us of old school days when getting better at a game required, I don't know, effort? What a concept. So here's a message for industry. Take note. Players are sick to death at matchmaking systems designed to maximise engagement at expense of fun. Games like XDefiant have shown us there's a hunger for something raw and genuine. Sure, Activision might not be panicking yet, but game time, cracks are showing. The golden goose isn't laying eggs. It's choking on its own manipulation. Now on to communication. Rubin and his team set gold standard here. Transparency, engagement, and mutual respect. XDefiant's devs didn't treat us like cash cows. They treated us like a community. Compare that to likes or Activision, where players are treated like data points on a spreadsheet. If other developers don't start paying attention to this player-first approach, they're going to find themselves in the wrong side of history. And let's not forget monetization. XDefiant dared to be free to play without being predatory. No loot boxes, no pay to win schemes, just a straightforward experience. That's a bloody miracle in today's market. It showed that you can still make a game accessible without treating your player base like ATMs. And while it didn't pan out financially this time, model is sound. Just needs great execution and a little more support from publishers willing to take a long view. But here's real takeaway. XDefiant's Shutdown into failure, it's a spark. A bloody beacon for developers with guts to push against tide. Think about momentum this game created, discussions it started, players it brought together. This wasn't just a game, it were a movement. And let me tell you something else. XDefiant's spirit ain't going anywhere. Whether it's Mark Rubin starting his own studio, another dev team picking up torch, or even community keeping dream alive, this ain't end at story, not by a long shot. So what's next for FPS games? Evolution? Revolution? Because if XDefiant taught us out, it's that players are ready to fight back. We're done settling for lazy design and exploitative systems. We're demanding better, and whether industry likes it or not, they're gonna have to listen. To every dev out there watching, take XDefiant blueprint and run with it. Build games that respect players, challenge status quo, and above all, don't sell art. Cause we're here, we're paying attention, and we're not going anywhere. Ball's in your court now. Don't cock it up. So let's take off doom and gloom hat for a second and put on what if cap. Because if anyone can rise from ashes or XDefiant, it's Mark Rubin and his crew. These aren't just devs, they're bloody visionaries. So let's have a little fun speculating about what could come next for them. Option 1, Rubin Studios. Picture this. Mark gathers his dream team, crowdfunds a new project, and creates a spiritual successor to XDefiant. Sure, Ubisoft owns IP, but idea, philosophy, that belongs to devs and players who believed in it. Strip away Ubisoft's branding, get a fresh coat of paint, and you got something that could make waves. Hell, I took a few quid their way in a heartbeat, and judging by loyalty or XDefiant community, I wouldn't be the only one. Option 2, community-run servers. This one's a long shot, but hear me out. If Ubisoft's too spineless to support XDefiant long-term, maybe they yank keys over to players. Let community run private servers, keep game alive, build something that could outlast corporate meddling. It's happened before. Just look at games like Team Fortress 2 and Quake Live. Question is, would Ubisoft swallow the pride long enough to let it happen? Probably not, but it's a nice thought. Option 3, take on big boys. Imagine Rubin and his team joining forces with another publisher, a bold one, someone who's willing to take risks and push boundaries. EA? Nah, they'd screw it up with microtransactions before it even launched. Maybe someone like Epic Games, who've got resources and, let's be honest, grudge against Activision. Partnership like that could make waves big enough to drown entire SBMM playbook. Option 4, complete genre pivot. Now stay with me here. What if Rubin ditches FPS entirely and tried something new? Devs behind XDefiant clearly know how to create tight competitive gameplay. Imagine them applying that to completely different genre, a melee-focused combat game, modern take on a space shooter. Possibilities are endless, and if anyone has chops to pull it off, it's this team. But here's real art that matter. Whatever they do next, it's gonna come with same passion and philosophy we saw in XDefiant. Mark Rubin ain't type to roll over and quit. It's type to take hits, learn from them, and come back swinging. And I, for one, can't bloody wait to see what he does. It's challenged though. Next project needs backing. From publishers, from players, and from everyone who believes in creating games that respect people who play them. So if Rubin announces something new, you can bet I'll be here shouting about it from rooftops. Because this isn't just about one game, it's about setting a new standard. And if industry don't want to get on board, well, tough. We'll build our own boat and we'll bloody sail it right past them. Now let's get into it. Trolls, twonks, lot of you useless gloaters out there. You're practically salivating over news, aren't you? XDefiant shutting down is highlighted here. Well, let me spell it out for you in words even your single brain cell might comprehend. You didn't win. You've never won, and you never will. See, celebrating closure of a game like XDefiant don't make you a victor, it makes you a prat. That's equivalent to mocking someone for falling while you've spent your entire life sitting in sidelines. XDefiant tried. It dared. It put itself out there and showed us what gaming could look like if we stripped away all corporate manipulation. What exactly have you done? Posting a comment about how much you hated dead games while your KD ratio languished in gutter. Bravo. Truly inspiring stuff. Let's not ignore real cherry on top of this toxic cake, human cost. 177 developers, some of the most talented people in industry, just lost their jobs. These are real people, mate. People with bills to pay, families to support, and careers they've poured their souls into. And you're out here laughing. I genuinely hope karma comes at you with a steel chair, because you deserve it. But do you know what's even more pathetic? You need games like XDefiant more than anyone. You think you've won now that it's shutting down? Think again. XDefiant pushed boundaries, challenged norm, gave players an alternative to soulless matchmaking hellscape that games like Call of Duty have become. Without games like this, your beloved COD has no reason to improve. No competition means no innovation. And before you know it, you'll be knee-deep in paywall, skill-based matchmaking tweak, and engagement-optimized matchmaking designed to keep you frustrated and spending. Enjoy that future, lads. You've earned it. Oh, and let's not forget your hypocrisy. Same trolls who called XDefiant a dead game are same ones who have flocked to social media to complain about COD's matchmaking, monetization, and general shenanigans. You're like someone complained about rain while throwing rocks at only people building an umbrella. And now, when umbrella's gone, you'll be first to whinge about how soaked you are. Honestly, it'd be hilarious if it weren't so pathetic. But let me tell you what you can't take away from us. You can't take memories, friendships, and fun we've had playing XDefiant. You can't erase sense of community that game created or movement it sparked. While you're busy gloating, we're already planning what comes next. Because difference between us and you is simple. We're builders. You're just noise. Background static. Equivalent to a toddler screaming in a supermarket because they didn't get a lollipop. So go ahead, keep gloating, keep thinking you've won. But just remember, when gaming industry finally starts to change, when players demand better and developers deliver, it'll all be thanks to games like XDefiant. And you'll just be a footnote. An insignificant little reminder of what we had to fight against. Enjoy your all of victory, trolls. Rest of us have work to do. Now let's take a moment to talk about what XDefiant leaves behind. Because while servers might eventually go offline, impact of this game? That's sticking around like hangover after every night. Let's break it down. First and foremost, XDefiant proved there's still a demand for old school gameplay. No crutches, no hand-holding, no algorithm deciding who wins and loses. Just you, your mates, and a match that felt like a proper competition. For years, FPS genre has been bogged down with systems designed to keep you on hamster wheel, grinding, spending, and praying for a fair match. XDefiant told us, nah, sod that. It gave players kinda experience they've been craving since glory days of Modern Warfare 2 and Black Ops 2. And while the game itself didn't last, idea it championed, that's not going anywhere. Other developers are paying attention. They've seen passion XDefiant inspired, and if they've got any sense, they'll take notes. Because backlash against SBMM and EOMM interpassing trend, it's a bloody movement. Second, XDefiant raised bar for communication between devs and players. Let's not forget Mark Rubin and his team didn't hide behind corporate buzzwords or PR fluff. They got in trenches with us, talking openly about games issues, listening to feedback, and actually doing something about it. That level of transparency and respect is almost unheard of in industry. Hell, some developers wouldn't know honest communication if it walked up and slapped them in the face. This approach set a precedent. Players now know what good communication looks like, and we're not going to settle for out less. The studio can't be bothered to treat its players like people instead of dollar signs. Gonna get called out. And guess who we have to thank for that? XDefiant. Third, it gave us hope. Yeah, I know it sounds cheesy, but stick with me. XDefiant reminded us that not every game has to bow down to almighty algorithm. It showed us that games can still be fun, challenging, and fair without resorting to manipulative tactics. For every player who got burnt out on rigged matchmaking, a COD, or grind-heavy nonsense of live service games, XDefiant were a breath of fresh air. And that hope, that spark of what gaming could be, that don't die just cause servers do. It lives on in players, content creators, and even developers who believed in game's vision. And finally, it highlighted power of community. XDefiant wasn't just a game, it were a gathering place. Space where players could come together, share laughs and create memories. Friendships were made, rivalries were built, and moments we'll never forget. Those are things that outlast any game. While trolls might sneer and say, it's just the game, we know better. XDefiant taught us that a game doesn't have to dominate charts to matter. It doesn't need to be $1 billion juggernaut to leave a mark. What matters is connection it creates and ideas it inspires. So to XDefiant team, players, community, pat yourselves on back. You were part of something bigger than a game. You were part of a bloody movement. And while this chapter might be closing, story? Far from over. Now let's wrap this up only way we know how. Unfiltered, unapologetic, and ready for what's next. XDefiant might be shutting down, but this channel, we're just getting started. Let me be clear about something. XDefiant's closure into failure. It's a bloody reminder that this industry needs games like it. Games that challenge status quo. Slap corporate nonsense off table and say, here's what gaming could be if we stopped pandering to algorithms and started listening to players. And that's where this channel comes in. I'm not going anywhere, folks. Spirit of XDefiant, transparency, community, unapologetic fun lives here. We're going to keep calling out rubbish in gaming world, spotlighting gems, and giving you unfiltered opinions you've come to expect. What's next? Well, for starters, I've got my eye on Shutdown. It's scratching that itch, and I'll be diving head first into it. Plus, there are plenty other games out there worth exploring, and we'll give them all a fair shake. And don't worry, I'll still keep my eye on Call of Duty, because let's face it, someone needs to hold Activision's feet to fire, although Blame Truth is doing a bloody good job of that on his own. But hey, I've had some of you magnificent lot call me British Blame Truth, though I'm not sure that's accurate. But here's the thing, folks. This isn't just about me, it's about you. This channel thrives because of the community we've built together. Your comments, your feedback, your bloody brilliant takes. They're what keep this space alive and kicking. See, it's deal. If you've got questions, suggestions, or just want to rant about state of gaming, drop it in comments. I want to hear it. Hell, I might even feature your thoughts in future videos. Because this isn't just my channel, it's ours. Now let me leave you with this. XDefiant might be gone soon, but it won't be forgotten. It sparked conversation, built connections, and reminded us all why we love gaming in the first place. And if it's not a legacy worth celebrating, I don't know what is. So smash that like button, hit subscribe, and leave your comments below. I want to hear your stories, your opinion, and your ideas. And don't worry, this is not the end.
This is not the beginning of the end. It is the end of the beginning.
I'll see you next time, you magnificent